Eric Idle and Rick Moranis are battling for a British dukedom because as babies, their destinies were switched in the new comedy Splitting Heirs, one of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with an epic film about Latino gangs and new movies with Sherilyn Fenn and Matthew Broderick. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie is Splitting Heirs, a comedy telling the story of 2 babies who are switched so that a cook's son becomes the heir to one of the great titles of England, while the rightful heir is adopted by a poor London family. The movie begins with a flashback to the swinging 60s when a hippie lord and his wife absent-mindedly leave their baby in a restaurant, making the switch possible. Then it moves up to the present day when the false heir, raised in America by his mother, returns to claim his fortune. He's played by Rick Moranis, and the real heir, played by Eric Idle, works for him and gets in trouble over a petty cash shortage.
I borrowed it. I borrowed it, sir.
I see. And you will see the chairman first thing on Monday morning. And I shall recommend that you're fired.
The 2 men become friends as the American glories in his newfound wealth and privilege.
Drunk again, sir.
That's okay, Butler. So are we.
But then Idle discovers that the title should rightfully have been his. He can't get anyone to agree with him until he receives some shady advice from a lawyer played by John Cleese.
So, unless there's an accident...
What?
An accident. I mean, accidents happen, don't they? You know, car crashes, shooting accidents, people falling out of windows, or drinking mercuric chloride in brandy, which not only conceals the taste, but also makes subsequent chemical detection practically impossible. That sort of thing, you know, accidents.
The situation grows fraught with passion when Idle falls in love with the beautiful Catherine Zeta-Jones, who plans to marry Moranis for his money and his title. Splitting Heirs is a movie with several problems, and one of them, I think, is in the casting. The movie's leads have been cast according to type. Moranis as the gauche American, Idle as the appalled Englishman, which would be fine in a drama, but seems all wrong in a comedy. Idle seems like an English lord, so why not make him the imposter and the totally unacceptable Moranis make him the rightful heir? That would have helped, but Splitting Heirs isn't a very funny film anyway. It assembles the elements for a farce like A Fish Called Wanda, but it's never able to really bring them to comic life.
It doesn't work at all, and what's amazing to me is it starts out with a pre-title sequence and that is very funny, and the setup, you know, we've seen lots of baby switch movies before, and so we're all ready for some fun, and it falls right off the table. I don't know, they had to rewrite this thing. First of all, I think Moranis, really, his whole character is uninteresting. He's quirky and odd, but he's not, you're not rooting for him in any fashion. There's no story given to him. We don't know anything about him.
And Eric Idle is too quiet and kind of nice and respectable.
Well, when he and Cleese are together, it's at least funny because it's Monty Python kind of stuff.
But in comedy, the characters have to be swimming upstream, and these characters are going downstream. In other words, the way the movie ends is the way the movie should end, and that's not funny.
Okay, our next movie is a variation on the Karate Kid. It's called Sidekicks, and it has karate and it has a kid, a sick kid with asthma who has retreated into a fantasy world where he thinks he can be sidekick to action star Chuck Norris. The boy's dad, played by Beau Bridges, tries to defend his son's daydreaming to his son's teacher.
He's just never been a physical kid. And there's nothing wrong with that.
The fantasy includes an appearance by Chuck Norris himself as the boy tries to climb a rope in school.
Barry, don't listen to them. Listen to me. I'll race you to the top.
I can't.
Who the hell is he talking to?
The kid is played by Jonathan Brandis, and he has a wise old karate instructor played by a veteran actor known as Mako. This speech seems recycled out of countless other martial arts films.
Dreams are good.
even when you're walking down a hallway or sitting in a classroom. I like him and all that, but, I mean, is it normal for that to happen?
You must learn to control them. When you learn to control them, you will have fewer dreams then, but they will be richer ones.
Boy, we've heard that kind of venerable talk before. Wouldn't it be great to have a comedy approach to this material? In fact, you know, maybe the Zucker Abrahams and Zucker group, maybe they should do a karate picture.
Somehow it seems like they already have.
Yeah, I had little bits. Action pictures are often defined by their villains. Sidekicks has some lame, cruel teenagers and a cartoonish Joe Piscopo who battles Chuck Norris at the end of the film. These weak elements reduce Sidekicks to a most trivial film.
I didn't really enjoy it either. I felt that everything in it was obvious.
Yeah.
That the stock characters were not original in any way. I mean, the Piscopo character is really obnoxious, as you mentioned, and he's very unpleasant when he's on the screen. And the other characters, the Mako character is right out of Mr. Miyagi and Karate Kid. This whole movie is a retread. The only thing I can imagine is, though, there are probably some kids young enough that they haven't seen. Are there any kids young enough they haven't seen their karate?
No.
Because children might enjoy the way that this kid is able to call Chuck Norris into his fantasy. But anyone
my kid.
old enough
No.
to see the Karate Kid wouldn't fall for this one.
No. When we come back, a strange romantic trio in Three of Hearts starring William Baldwin, Sherilyn Fenn, and Kelly Lynch.
You should get going.
Guess you got, what, dinner plans or something?
Yeah. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Wrinkled and ugly.
You make it feel like they're the hottest, most beautiful woman in the world.
You can do that?
Any woman, anytime, any place, guaranteed.
A jilted lesbian and a professional male escort become friends there in a scene from our next film, Three of Hearts. This has the structure of a classic 30s screwball comedy, but Hollywood would have never allowed this offbeat subject matter back in its golden age. Three of Hearts stars Kelly Lynch and Sherilyn Fenn as lovers who stage an emotional breakup right in the middle of Greenwich Village. Fenn says she truly cares for her girlfriend but wants the freedom to try some new directions.
I just want you all to know that my girlfriend is tearing my heart out here today because she suddenly decided she needs more space.
Depressed and dreading nosy questions at her sister's wedding, Lynch, in desperation, hires a professional male escort played by William Baldwin to be her date. They get on well together, and finally she shares her heartbreak and thinks of a way he might be able to help her.
Are you good with women? Are you good with your job?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can break her heart and send her running back to me.
Baldwin starts attending a class that Fenn teaches, and then he asks her out. By the time they go to an off-Broadway opening night, he's beginning to feel stirrings of love for her, and Lynch is worried enough to spy on them.
Ellen! Ellen! Hi!
You look beautiful.
Oh, you look amazing.
What's interesting is the way the movie goes for a certain amount of truth and honesty along with the obvious opportunities for laughs.
I just couldn't let her go. Love is like some force of nature. You can't trick it. You sure can't control it.
I think it says something that this movie could be made in this way and tell this story. We've reviewed a lot of films over the years about gay love, and most of them are all solemn and pretentious and fraught with significance about what is obviously seen as a very touchy and controversial theme. Three of Hearts takes the sexuality of its characters for granted and sees them as the individuals that they are. It doesn't score easy points off of anyone. And William Baldwin, I think, is a real surprise in this movie, taking a role that could have been a caricature and turning it into a character who outgrows his self-image as a paid escort and discovers that he can really love. I found this movie really absorbing and entertaining.
I didn't as much as you, Roger,
No?
and I had a problem right at the beginning. I couldn't accept the whole premise of the picture with the hiring of the male escort. I thought that was really a movie invention, just like the...
Oh, I've known people who have done that. People who are gay and who need to get somebody to go with them to somebody's wedding. That's very common.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about her use of him to get back at his girlfriend. The setup is that basically let me just finish. The setup is he is going to romance her and break her heart, and then she'll come running back to him. That whole enterprise seemed to me totally incredible.
That is no more incredible than the setup in any screwball comedy you can mention.
I think this is less of a comedy than you think.
It's
No, I think it's less. I think it's more of a musing on love and how three characters transform each other. And the style of the movie for me is just set in that opening scene where you see her explode in Greenwich Village in the middle of the square there. And I think that's just a fake movie scene. I don't think people really behave like that. And
I think they do. I think that scene is probably...
You think that's realistic?
You've never seen lovers having a quarrel in public?
Of course I have seen lovers having a quarrel in public.
And addressing
you know what happens? They slap each other or they scream at each other. No, they don't perform for the audience.
They do.
That's grandstanding for the movie crowd.
Well,
didn't like the picture.
In other words, you're subjecting the movie to the test of whether or not you think it's absolutely the same as it would be in real life.
No, I'm saying that many of the scenes play as phony movie scenes.
Okay, well, we disagree. Coming up next, the new film from the director of An Officer and a Gentleman, Bound by Honor, a 3-hour epic of the Chicano gang culture in Los Angeles.
I'm your family. We should be taking care of each other, not fighting over street corners.
If we do nothing, then we are nothing.
With their PCP labs, or you robbing Zodis and killing innocent people? Well, if that's your truth, then you're right. I don't want to hear it.
Careful. You're not my blood. I'll cut you off like they did my leg.
That's Damian Chapa as a Latino gang member whose rise to power is chronicled in a new epic-sized drama called Bound by Honor, a most ambitious 3-hour film that wants to say something very powerful about Latinos, gangs, and prison, but I don't think it will tell you anything you don't intuitively know or haven't learned in pictures like Short Eyes or the more recent Edward James Olmos's American Me. The main character is part Chicano, part Anglo, a young man named Miklo, who is considered white by his Mexican-American friends and Hispanic by whites. He complains about all of this in prison.
My mom's as brown as you are. And my white dad tried to beat every ounce of her out of me. But you know what? He couldn't do it. Chicano's not a color. It's the way you think and the way you live.
Another key character is a Latino cop named Paco, played by Benjamin Bratt, who is Miklo's cousin. He is stunned when he finds himself chasing Miklo after a robbery.
No! Miklo, wait! I can't! Stop, please! Stop, run,
Paco the cop tries to influence his cousin, lecturing him in jail in a do-gooder speech that is well-intentioned but all too familiar in social message movies.
If you start this war, you and your vatos will be committing suicide. Now look over there. You see the warden? He's got all the firepower he needs, and he ain't afraid to use it, believe me. You want that?
Oh, you're the man now, aren't you?
Bound by Honor was directed by Taylor Hackford, and with a 3-hour running time, this movie wants to be the definitive Latino film. And there are very good performances throughout, no fault there. But the message and the scenes are so familiar and predictable, and the themes are repeated over and over, especially in that 3rd hour, in and out of jail, that Bound by Honor ends up wearing out its welcome.
I think so too, and also you must admit that the movie was completely upstaged by American Me by Edward James Olmos, which covers almost the same material, the same kinds of characters, with much more understanding and with much more of an arc. This movie doesn't have an ending, and that last shot as the camera pulls away and the two people are dancing in front of the mural showing themselves as children is such an obvious contrivance to kind of create a feeling of conclusion when the movie obviously doesn't have one, that I just shook my head at that moment, and I felt that somehow the whole thing needed a completely new screenplay before they started
It could have
shooting.
been tightened up for one thing,
Yeah.
but I don't know why in a story about Latinos. See, what I would have done is focus more on the cop rather than the criminal. I thought that would have been a more different approach. The criminal stuff, you get the scenes in jail where he has to resist the homosexual advances. He gets assaulted in the lunch line.
And
These
also you
are
have
recycled.
the white gang, the Hispanic gang, and
Yeah,
the black
boy,
gang.
we've
They're
seen
all
a lot of
fighting
that
against
stuff.
each other.
I mean,
and there's no vision in this film to indicate that these people can somehow rise above the color of their skin to figure out what else they might have within them that they could express. That's why American Me is so much better, because the character is able to transform himself.
It is a much better film. When we come back, Matthew Broderick and Annabella Sciorra are strangers in love in The Night We Never Met.
So I'll take Monday and Saturday in case
you get lucky.
More wine. I go get some, and I will be right back.
I go.
No, you stay. I go. Be right back.
Our next movie is one of the more lame brain productions in recent memory about a group of characters who spend most of their time working themselves into those weird misunderstandings that somehow only happen in the movies. They would never happen among anyone with an IQ of 60 and up. The film is named The Night We Never Met, and it's about three people sharing the same Greenwich Village apartment on different nights of the week. The movie begins with a deli cheese expert, played by Matthew Broderick, splitting up with his French girlfriend here, played by Jean Triplehorn.
Someday, when you're a big restaurateur and I am a star, maybe for us it will work, but now, you must go. Don't make it any harder for us.
To get away from his Animal House roommates, Broderick rents the flat 2 nights a week on a timeshare basis. Meanwhile, a dental hygienist, played by Annabella Sciorra, disillusioned with her marriage, rents the same flat on 2 other nights. Impressed by the notes that Broderick leaves her, Sciorra tells her sister she's fed up with her husband and wants to have an affair.
Just let me know if you want me to lie or to cover or to stall anything.
It's gonna be weird, though, sleeping with another man.
God, can you imagine? Promise to tell me what it's like.
Unfortunately, through an idiotic mix-up that would happen only in the movies, and only in bad movies for that matter, Sciorra mistakes the flat's owner, a male chauvinist pig played by Kevin Anderson, for Broderick, and she discovers her mistake after it's too late.
I mean, how could you sleep with me?
You slept with me?
Yeah, but that's because I thought you were someone else.
The Night We Never Met is one of those movies so excruciatingly obvious it's an agony to wait for the events which we are absolutely certain will take place, and they do. The film has no insight into human nature in general and women in particular, and the Sciorra character isn't so much a human being as a plot gimmick. The pacing is slow, the plot advances in fits and starts, and everything depends on a series of misunderstandings so inane that these characters seem like fugitives from a very bad sitcom.
Yeah, I mean, even on a technical level, they make a mistake. She has already seen that another person who's running there leaves the place as sloppily, I believe.
Yeah.
And so here's the guy who's, or at least the minimum is she knows that he's very neat.
Yes. And so
the mystery guy, okay,
yeah,
that she's interested in.
Yes.
She walks in and sees the apartment is a wreck. Mm-hmm. Now, instinctively, she says, something strange here. My guy is neat. What's this?
Yeah.
That doesn't even occur. So technically, it's even right. But the whole enterprise is stupid for the reason that you said. And actually, I thought that Sciorra's character as a woman who's in a bad marriage, that was a character I would have followed in another movie.
Take that character and make a movie about her instead
Absolutely.
of coming up with this stupid formula.
You don't fix movies once they start to shoot. And these people are not supervising these scripts. There's major mistakes here. They need another run-through.
Okay, coming up next, our video pick of the week, a better Baby Switch movie than Splitting Heirs.
Video Pick of the Week, brought to you by Orville Redenbacher, the first and last name in popcorn.
If you were considering seeing Splitting Heirs, the Baby Switch comedy we reviewed earlier on this show, I hope we've talked you out of it. That's because it's not very good. A much better Baby Switch film for you to rent is the 1970 comedy Start the Revolution Without Me, with Donald Sutherland and Gene Wilder as the DeCisi twins, one macho, the other effeminate, who are switched at birth in the years just before the French Revolution.
You must proceed to Paris in disguise as he instructed in his letter.
Philippe, we must proceed to Paris in disguise as per Louis' instructions.
What will be his disguise?
What will be your disguise?
I will be dressed as escargot.
He will be dressed as escargot.
Both Gene Wilder and Donald Sutherland are at the top of their form in this picture, which back in 1970 was great comedic form indeed. I can guarantee big laughs, very big laughs, with Start the Revolution Without Me, our video pick of the week. Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this show. 2 thumbs down for Splitting Heirs with Eric Idle and Rick Moranis. A cute premise, but no comic follow-through. 2 more thumbs down for Sidekicks, the lame rip-off of the Karate Kid movies, this one with Chuck Norris. A split vote on 3 of Hearts, the love triangle. Roger enjoyed the interplay among Kelly Lynch, Sherilyn Fenn, and William Baldwin. I didn't buy the premise at all. 2 thumbs down on Bound by Honor, the Chicano gang epic drama, overwrought, overlong at 3 hours, familiar themes told in a familiar style. Good performances, however. And finally, another 2 thumbs down for The Night We Never Met, a romantic farce that we better improved if it dropped all the gimmicks and simply told a love story of Annabella Sciorra and Matthew Broderick.
Okay, Gene, the one I think you really should think about again is Three of Hearts, because apart from your logical objections to some of the things that happen in the movie, didn't you find the performances, the people interesting, the energy interesting, the intelligence level much higher than the other films this week?
Roger, I find you much higher in intelligent level than the other films this week.
I should hope
But I'm
so.
not going to spend 2 hours with you after the show's over.
Okay, that's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with more new movies, including Dave, starring Kevin Kline as an ordinary guy who suddenly finds himself subbing for the president.
You're a very handsome man. Thank you, Mr. President. Just get rid of the grin. You look like a schmuck.
Kenneth Branagh's Much Ado About Nothing, featuring an all-star cast including Michael Keaton, Denzel Washington, and Oscar winner Emma Thompson.
All women shall pardon me. I will live a bachelor.
A dear happiness to women.
And Dragon, the Bruce Lee story with Jason Scott Lee as the martial arts teacher who became an international movie star. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
VCR Plus Instant Programmer makes taping your favorite shows fast and easy. Just enter the program code numbers found in your TV listings. VCR Plus even changes the channels on your cable box. Fashion Bug, 1,200 stores carrying the latest in junior, Mrs. Plus girls and men's fashions. 1-800-FB fits and the letter U. Fashion Bug fits your life. The Now Collection by Armatron, featuring beautiful design and superb quality, perfect for Mother's Day. Armatron, the best price quality watch in America. Easy Spirit Lights, the first light shoe with the right support. Real arch support plus all the cushioning of an athletic shoe. So now you can hit the pavement without the pavement hitting you.